Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Wealthy webinar. Very excited to have you all here and very excited to introduce our special guest. And just as you're popping in, we'd love to hear where you're tuning in from. And with that, I will share my screen and we'll jump in. So, welcome. Let me move that out of my way so I can see what I'm doing. So tonight we are talking about mobile being the new rich and learning how you can create an income online working from anywhere with our special guest, Shawn Gray. And, you know, airlines have been hit hard recently. There's been a lot of losses and with these surging unprecedented times. And the International Air Transport Association predicted carriers will lose a combined $84 billion this year. And again, that's a prediction. It could be either or, but it's going to be huge. And by Fortune's calculations, the news takes the total number of announced major airline job cuts to be around 70,000. And I'm sure more will come. And just coming from a North America standpoint, I know WestJet, I believe they cut about 45 to 50% of their crew, which is incredible losses for so many people. So if you or someone you know is experiencing job instability, now might be the perfect time to consider new possibilities for getting ahead. So in this webinar, we have former commercial airline pilot Shawn Gray. He's going to share why he left his career as a pilot and how he's able to create a far greater income while having the mobility that he wants by building a business online. So what we're going to cover tonight, we're going to talk about why Shawn left his career as a pilot, how he's able to afford it, what he does to earn online, what his life is like now, which is pretty phenomenal, and how to work anywhere like him. Plus, I'm sure there's going to be a few extra tidbits in here as well. So again, presented tonight by Shawn Gray. So Shawn, as I mentioned before, is a former commercial airline pilot who at one point bought a Subway franchise and realized very quickly that he'd bought a 70-hour work week, which I don't think that's the entire intention of owning a business. So since then, he realized that might not be the right path and has grown a fantastic business and works wherever there's an internet connection. And Shawn and his family lead a phenomenal life by splitting up their time between living in Asia and also from their hometown, Fargo in North Dakota. So with that, I'm going to stop my share and welcome Shawn in. Hi, Shawn. Thank you
Hi,
so much
Kristen.
for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited. This is going to be fun.
This is going to be a blast. So we're just going to jump right in. The first thing I just wanted to ask is, so what was it that made you want to leave your career as a pilot? What led that?
You know, I think it was kind of a culmination of things. I think when all of us, you know, we grow up, we go to middle school, you go to high school, you start thinking about, gosh, what do I want to do for a living, and what should my career look like, and you know, and you get excited about it. And for me, I decided I wanted to be a pilot relatively young. And I don't really know why I didn't have any commercial airline pilots in the family per se. My grandfather was a pilot, you know, just kind of had one on the farm back in the 50s and 60s. But I just decided it would be a fun job. It would be exciting. You could earn a lot of money. You could travel all over the world. So I graduated from high school. I went to the University of North Dakota, which surprisingly enough is one of the best civilian aviation schools in the world. Actually, pilots come from all over the world to be trained in Grand Forks, North Dakota. And I didn't do the military route. A lot of guys will go do the military and then they'll fly. I just went civilian. So I ended up borrowing a bunch of money. I came out of college with pushing a $100,000 undergraduate degree with my aviation degree. I had a business degree. But, you know, I just figured at the time, you know, you're 22, 23, and you're like, that's just what everybody does. And since I came out of college, I mean, the debt is just for college is, I mean, for an average undergraduate degree, are just skyrocketing. It's insane. But, you know, I just, well, that's what you do. You go and get a job, and then you work and you fly and you pay your bills, you pay your dues, and it's going to be great. Well, you get out of college as a pilot and you have to get experience. And so, you know, start getting some experience as a flight instructor and all these things. And, you know, the guys that got out a couple of years before me were earning $12,000, $14,000, $15,000 a year, working, you know, 10 hours a day, trying to get the experience so that a regional airline would hire them, and eventually they could move in 10 or 12 years into a real job. And so you start to take a look at that, paying your dues. I'm all about paying your dues and things like that. But I graduated from college, and actually, around that time, I was introduced to the concept of working from home and of networking and things like that. And I was relatively closed-minded at the time, to be honest with you. My then girlfriend, now wife, said, "Hey, this is maybe something that we can work on part-time." And I'm like, "That's fine. You can do that. I'm going to go be a pilot and do my thing." So I graduated and kind of started that career. And, you realize that there's a lot of dues to be paid, and there's a lot of work, and there's a lot of effort with not a lot of return necessarily. And when I was early on in that profession, actually, is when I was introduced to this kind of business, to networking, to being an independent entrepreneur and working from home. And so initially, Kristen, it was something that Carmen and I did part-time as a supplement, because beginning pilots don't make a bunch of money until you're tenured and you've got 10 or 15 years into that type of profession. And so we started it part-time. And I got to be honest with you, why did I leave it? Why did I not stick there for 25 or 30 years? Is that I saw, I guess, a means to an end that I thought was more effective, probably more fun, and offered a lot more freedom doing what we're doing today. I went to a seminar where I saw people who had created lifestyle incomes. I'm talking income that even the most tenured airline pilot wouldn't even get close to. And I saw people that, that didn't have to go to work every single day, that didn't have to try and trade their time for money. And, as a pilot, when I decided to try and make a move, so initially it was kind of a part-time thing for us a number of years ago. And when I decided to make a move, what kind of came into my mind is that it's a great career. It's a lot of fun. I spend a lot of money doing it, but at the end of the day, it's still a job. And I still end up trading, an hour of work for an hour of pay. And when you try and take a look at how do I really get ahead and create freedom when I don't have to do that, it means you have to accumulate. You have to have so many years of accumulating money so that you can get your money to go to work for you, because it's just you. Even as a pilot, it's just you. My brother-in-law is still a pilot for Alaska, and he loves it. He's great. He does a great job. He's a customer of ours from a product standpoint. But he's been there a long time. And he was telling me that in Alaska, how it works is that the pilots he'll get up at 5 o'clock in the morning for a 9 a.m. flight. And he'll drive an hour to the airport, and he'll do all his pre-flight and all of his pre-checks and everything like that. And you'll get the passengers boarded. You'll make sure you're good with ATC. You'll make sure you're good with all these stuff. And then when you're in the cockpit, you're ready to go. They close the door. And when they release the brake at the gate, then he starts getting paid.
Oh my gosh.
And nothing up until that point has he ever earned a single dime. And as soon as, so he gets paid from the time the brake is released until the time let's say he's flying from Seattle to Atlanta, and you land in Atlanta and you taxi up, and as soon as you put the brake on at the gate, done. And you got a couple hours of work after that. Now, the per hour thing is great, but it is this captured little way to earn money. And there's so much on both sides of it. And you take a look at today, some of the statistics that you talked about beforehand, that is not a business that is not an industry or a profession that will ever be the same, ever. If you look at some of the statistics on certainly just corporate travel, let alone tourist travel, I mean, corporations around the world are deciding why is our travel budget X when we have people that are maybe even more productive sitting at home and doing this, So when the new normal actually comes back, whatever that is going to look like, I mean, corporate travel might be 40% of what it was before. Tourist travel, it might take 5 years, if ever, to get back to levels of what. So you start to take a look at that. I mean, a lot of my buddies that are pilots are all like, you know what? They just gave me 3 months off. And yes, I'm fortunate that I get 50 or 60% of my salary, but that's better than getting furloughed and things like that. So long answer to your short question, why did I leave it? Love flying for fun. But if the idea is to create a lifestyle for yourself and your family and your kids and give yourself some freedom and some flexibility and the ability to see the world, gosh, I would make that decision 10 times out of 10,
Well, and two, with what you do, Shawn, I mean, because you spend half of your time in Asia and half of your time here. Mm-hmm. What other opportunity is going to allow that type of flexibility to just up and leave whenever you decide?
our home base in the U.S. is in Fargo, North Dakota, and I always said Fargo's a great community. I mean, it's not a large community. It has everything you need. I've got both my wife's family and my family are all within 150 miles of here. Fargo's a nice place to live as long as I don't have to be here all the time. You know, as long as we've got the ability to go and do something. I mean, for 10 years, we spent about 80% of our time in Asia. And, you know, our son went there from the time he was 2. We lived in Taipei for a while, lived in Beijing for a while. And we helped build the idea of Shackley kind of all over globally. And we had the flexibility to do it because I don't work for anybody. I don't have anybody that can tell me when I have to be somewhere and where I have to be and how long I have to be there. And, you know, it's 100% freedom, which the only thing that's fair in the world is that we all only get 24 hours in a day. And so, you know, when we look at it, and I could see that our son, you know, was raised bilingual, and he can speak Chinese and he can speak English, and we've got the ability to fluctuate back and forth. We adopted our daughter there when we were in China, and she just turned 8. And yet we've got ties in all different parts of the world, and we can still come home to roots. Now, all that, in my opinion, it's the best of all worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. Being able to just move freely and still be able to build a business is pretty incredible.
Well,
And
I think.
Oh, no, carry on. You go.
And I think the challenge is that so many people end up, Chris, and I think people like to, I mean, I think the vast majority of people would love that flexibility and that freedom. The challenge is that they look at it and they say, what do I have to sacrifice to do it? You know, because there's this stability thing that people think is there in a traditional job. And in a lot of ways there is, but it's a box kind of our own making that, you know, I think people are looking at the world differently today than they ever have before. And they're saying, hang on, you know, a lot of the dreams that maybe I realized and I wanted are not gone. They're rekindled, if anything else. And how can I do this like this? You know, how can I do this? And how can I create income? You know, we've been fortunate enough that, I mean, gosh, we've been doing this for, you know, a touch over 10 years. And it was a lot of years ago that we surpassed in earnings from you know, doing this from Shackley that I would have made it in my entire lifetime career as an airline pilot. I mean, we passed that a long time ago. And so, you know, it's provided us the ability to earn an income that gives us choices.
Well, exactly. And two, you know, that choice, I think for many people that they look for is being able to choose the income you want.
Right.
You don't get to do that anywhere else. And so, yeah, I think that's just a concept that sometimes is a little challenging for people to wrap their head around, but once they get it, it's like, oh, there's so much more here for me. So being able to see that and you sharing that, I mean, a commercial airline pilot, that's a pretty prestigious career, but being able to take something even bigger, I think is phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. And so what is it that you do? So explain a little bit about what's your day-to-day DMO? How do you work online? What does that look like for you?
Well, I think I like to keep things simple and basic. And, you know, you guys, for any of you that are new and that are kind of looking at this for the first time, I think the idea is to kind of to spark the interest and see if there is a leaning forward in your part to be able to say, okay, I like that. You know, it's worked for this guy. Talk to me about what that actually means. And you can talk to the person that put you on this call afterwards about that. The idea of what we do is not only based on the activity of yourself, it's really a leveraging effort of people, as is any business, you know, and the idea of having a business or a system that runs for you and with you and through other people, and that allows you to get paid on what you start is the idea. So, you know, if a daily method of operation would be, if I had to break it down simply, that we use technology to bring people together with information, and that's it. That's all we do. It is really no more complicated than that. I mean, the company that we partnered with for 15 years, you know, has a 100-year history in their products. Some of you may know the background of Shackley, some of you may not. But we really started the idea of natural nutrition and natural wellness. We've got patented immunity products that, you know, I won't even begin to talk about, that are amazing. So are people concerned about health and nutrition and immunity right now? Yes, there's no question. Are they concerned about, you know, a brand that they can believe in, and you know, how do they prevent as well as get healthy and stay healthy at the same time? there's no question people are looking. And on the other side of it is that, there's 40 million people unemployed in the United States alone. I mean, and that's just who we know about. Those are just the numbers. I mean, all kinds of people are underemployed that are not being reported. And so there's all kinds of people that have taken pay cuts. And I mean, I was looking at a statistic in the state of Minnesota. We're at the border of Minnesota. My hometown is there. And the state of Minnesota was telling the Economic Development Department that they fully expect 50% of the bars and restaurants in the state of Minnesota to never open again.
Wow.
They're expecting half of the bars and restaurants to never open again. So you look at the trickle effect of that, from suppliers to, not just staff, but not, I mean, it's going to be wild what can happen from that. And so what do? Are people looking to create optional sources of income? Of course they are. Are people looking to create health at the same time? Now more than ever in my adult lifetime. So what do? We use technology to bring people together with information, and we share, here's who we are. Here's what we do. Here's how we do it. Here's how you get paid. And you know what, Kristen? It is no more simple than that. It's no more complicated than that. It is that simple. Because when people do, you will absolutely have a majority percentage of people that say, well, tell me more. How does that work? What's your guarantee? How do the products work? Tell me about them. And you're going to get some people that are like, no, not for me. That's okay. Okay. So if I had to break it down simply, we use webinars, we use technology, we use social media platforms. We use, text messaging and DMs and things like that to just simply connect with people through a network, either warm market or people that you've met online or people that you have similar interests with, and say, hey, this might be worth your time to look at. And some people lean forward and say, yeah, tell me more. Some people say, no, not for me. You say, great, that's no worries. We're still friends. And I'm not going to get any more complicated than that because we don't have the time to get complicated tonight.
Well, and really what you've explained is exactly what we do. We're just connectors.
Correct.
Right? We connect people to information that they're looking for. They hear our message and we say, hey, we can get you the info you're looking for. Yeah, exactly what you said. It's not that complicated in what we do.
Well, I think if people are if the mindset is that I have worked at a job, at a company, or I have done, A, B, and C for a job, it might take a little bit of out of the box thinking at first. But I'm telling you what, I think that the public sentiment on that has shifted dramatically in the last 4 months, because everyone has been forced to put themselves in an environment. Their traditional job has been forced to put them in an environment that says, this is what I do. This is how we connect with people. And, I'm not sure I could even spell Zoom very well before all, but you look at it now and it's like we just do Zoom calls and it's easy. And the reality is you can still be face to face with people and you can still connect and then guess what, when you're done, you can go out and throw a baseball in the backyard with your kids, or you can go to the water park down the street before winter comes. So, I'm encouraging all of you that are new to just simply say, okay, without a whole bunch of details, do I believe that I want to go somewhere in my life differently? Do I want to create something? Do I want to build something? And then number two, do I believe that there's a need for people to want to stay healthy naturally, to want to be green, to want to take care of the environment, to want to find a way to protect the health of themselves, their families, the people around them. And then, just as importantly, is there a need for people to create optional, ways to earn income in the world today? And there's no question.
There's all a resounding yes.
All over, right? So if that's the case, then we're connectors, like you say, bring people together and say, here's who we are. Here's what we do. This is not something we just came up with. Dr. Shackley made his first products before any of us were born, before most of our parents were born. We've been doing this over 100 years. We have got more science than anybody else. Just look at the next piece of this and then you decide. That's as simple as it is.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it really is. And I think sometimes we can overcomplicate what it is to build an online business.
Right.
But how you explained it is perfect. And I love what you said about how many of us couldn't spell Zoom and now it's just become part of our regular vernacular. Right. It's come embedded into what we say.
Wild, isn't it? Yeah.
It's insane how much things have changed.
Well, and not only that, can I add on is that, we're here in the US. I haven't traveled to Asia, obviously. I came back January 15th. Mm-hmm. And I've been on an airplane since, but the reality of the world is using technology. I do this You know, I can send messages back and forth between our guys in China's 13-hour time difference. And technology allows it to touch a button and it translates it to the point where I can communicate literally through text, and even through voice in some form or fashion, without my translator, to be able to simply communicate and share the idea, because people all over the world want what we offer. And over the next 10 years, you'll see our company expand all over the world and bring this idea and this concept all over the world. And gosh, just using a technological platform like this that allows us to share from the comfort of your own home means that you can build an organization with every background imaginable and be able to earn money from that. It's really strong.
Yeah, it's incredibly strong. That's great. So, Shawn, a little bit about, your life has shifted dramatically, I'm sure, since you've gone full time with your online business. So,
Sure.
going from working as a pilot to what life is like now, can you share a little bit about the differences there?
It's kind of like you never realize it until you never realize that you appreciate the change until it happens. Until, because people, we get so ingrained into structure, into routine, and into that structure and routine that is usually created by someone else. 90+% of the time, it's created by someone else. And so, you have to fit in this box, you have to be here at this time, and you have to do this, and you have to do that, and you have to check in, and you have to do what, okay. And not that that's bad, okay? But when all of a sudden that structure and routine is created by you, and you have the ability to say, well, I'm not gonna have to do my grocery shopping on Saturday morning because I have to work Monday through Friday until 8. And you say, I'm going to do my grocery shopping at Tuesday at 10 a.m. because that's when everybody else is at work and I don't want to deal with the lines. Like, all of a sudden your life steps back and you're able to say, you know what, this is important on the calendar for my kids' soccer match. And that's important. And this online event is important. And then I'm going to work business around all of those things. So you put the important things on it, and then I'm going to run work around those things, which is a whole different deal, because everybody else says, here's work. It's the number one priority in my life for the most part, because they don't have a choice. And I have to put everything else, which truthfully is more important than simple employment, around that. So, a simple answer to your question would be if you could flip that in your life, just that in and of itself. And then at the same time, you could say, gosh, what if I could earn 3 times what I'm earning now at my job? If I could flip that and earn 3 times, if you could flip that and earn the same as you're earning in your traditional job right now, all of a sudden life's way different, way different. But the upside of what we do here is, I've got people in Asia that, I've got some ladies on our team in Asia that, came into our business with us, and I'm telling you, Sandy's amazing. I connect with her once or twice a week, and we just trade WeChat messages and whatnot. And she makes $40,000-$50,000 US a month, and she just travels all over, and she helps work teams, and she does her stuff online. And I'll talk to her, and I'm traveling, and she's traveling in the south of China somewhere. I'm like, are you working? He's like, no, I'm doing webinars from here. I like, it's beautiful here. And it's just all of this cool lifestyle that says, if you're that kind of person that wants to move around, you can connect people from wherever you are. If you're the kind of person that's kind of a homebody, you want to stay at home, you can connect people from there. So from that standpoint, from our standpoint, it's given us a freedom, flexibility, more money. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
That's amazing. And it's such a neat concept too, when you shared, that working your business around your life rather than working your life around what you're doing for a career. That
Right.
does take a little bit to wrap your head around, because it's so foreign. When you have your kid's basketball game, and now it's like, that's the priority, and I'll work after.
Well,
Or
and
I'll work before.
You're totally right. And I think if you look at it, the structure of society is, look, if you go to university, you go to education, traditional, what are you learning to do? You're learning to go get a job. And it's not bad. It's good. And it's amazing. And everybody should do it and get an education. But you've got to be able to think as an entrepreneur outside of that and be able to say, the people that make the greatest incomes in life are those that create businesses in some form or fashion. The people that are able to give back the largest amounts, not just give time. But in our business, you know, you're able to give time, but you're also able to create an income, to be able to give money. And just the very nature of what we do in our business and what our products do to people gives back to the planet. It gives back to those around you. You know, gosh, you've got to look at if the mainstream is walking this way, it's probably a good idea to walk the other direction a little bit and see why it is that some people create great freedom and yet a lot of people struggle for most of their lives. And if you're a new person looking at this webinar tonight, you're here for a reason. You know, you maybe struggle, maybe you don't, maybe you've got a great life already, but you're here for a reason. Otherwise you wouldn't be sitting listening to us talk for 30 minutes. There's something there. So it's probably worth finding the details to see if it clicks for you.
Yeah. And even if it's just a matter of being, like you said, going to work. I mean, I work still,
Sure.
but I also have a job, and just being open to other opportunities and see what's possible, I think is a big thing. And I'm seeing more and more people, especially with what's happened since March, are opening up. It's like, oh, there are other options, and maybe we should look at those. So,
and even if it's not a career change, some people, I mean, for I would say a large majority of people, it doesn't need to be, I'm going to change my career to this. It's going to be, look, I like what I do. It's rewarding, but there's not enough, you know, there's more month than money and type of thing, and, you know, kids' college education is coming up or whatever it may be. So if you can create something mobily around your life, a few hours a week from home, and add $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month, even as an example, that's significant. It's significant for anyone.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. I mean, the amount of people that could be saved from losing their home by a couple $100 a month is that's a pretty astronomical stat
No
that
question.
I've heard around. So that's great. So Shawn, if someone wanted to work like you do, how do they do it? What do
I
they have?
guess
What are the steps they need to take?
I guess the first thing is, it depending upon how much they understand about what it is that we do, is get educated about it. You know, ask the questions, find the details out about, you know, who we are and what our products do, and what the steps are to begin setting yourself up so that you can share. You know, our philosophically, what we have done, what our founder did with our product line, when he made his first product over 100 years ago, and then he started the company 65 years ago, is said, you know, I'm going to make a better product that has impact on human health, but I can't put it on a shelf at Costco or Walmart, because then it just looks like everything else, and I need a person to tell the story. And so so for 65 years, he has only paid people to tell the story of what our products do to human health. And so what do is you decide, okay, teach me a little bit about that. Let me understand how the system works. And so you make a decision, right? Get the information about the specifics that this isn't really designed for tonight, as far as who we are, you know, what our products are and how you get paid. Get that information, then make a decision and say, okay, let me move forward. Okay, there's a starter package and some products and things like that. And the person who puts you on this call can show you exactly, you know, what those steps are. Say, yep, you can get here, you can get your website set up, you get your mobile sharing. Shackley's actually announcing some amazing stuff next month at our virtual conference, which is going to make, you know, mobile even that much simpler, and it's already phenomenal. So you're going to see some really cool stuff in the next few weeks. So number one, get a little bit informed, get your questions answered. Number two, make a decision. Say, okay, I take the step forward. And then number three, follow the advice of the person that put you on the call here.
That is perfect advice, and that's the exact steps to take a look. So that's fantastic. Now, there is a question here. Let me just read over it here. So it says, we know it doesn't take much initial investment or technology to get started, but what kind of technological investment have you found required in your specific business to help support everyone in your organization?
Technological investment, as far as what kind of tech, I have an iPhone and a MacBook Pro. That's about it. You know, I mean, that's from an investment standpoint. And those are things that you have anyway, you know, that you just run your life with. And like you said earlier, if you've got an internet connection and an ability to do some video, and maybe get on Facebook, there you go. There really isn't anything more required from that, which is great.
Yep. If you have, you know, as little as this right here, you can do this.
Yeah.
If you have a computer, great. As long as you can connect to the internet, you're set.
Right. Yeah, agreed. Because it's actually simpler. When I started in this kind of business, 20 some years ago, there wasn't this, So if you wanted to sit and share with somebody, there was a lot of the old school, let's go drive over to your house, or let's meet, let's get together and let me share with you who we are and what we do. And that has evolved so much that you can do that regardless of time zones or state borders or country borders or anything. And so, and Shackley's evolved, our company has evolved to be able to give the tools to make that so simple, at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And just to give an example, if you're wondering what kind of technology, exactly what Shawn and I are doing here is
Mm-hmm.
exactly what we do. I mean, I'm up here in central Alberta, Canada, and Shawn's down in North Dakota, and we can still chat. We can, share the information with you. And just as if,
Mm-hmm.
we were prospects of each other, we can still connect and be able to share
Absolutely.
the information. So technology, has advanced so much with Zoom, and now there's so many video chat things. You can connect with people and you don't have to go anywhere, which is great because right now not many people are moving around.
Totally. It's great.
Excellent. Well, with that, Shawn, I just want to thank you so much. If there's any final words that you want to share before we close it off, please do.
I would just encourage all of us to really to reflect a little bit on the last few months of kind of what it's taught us about kind of resettling. I think regardless of age or experience, I think everybody's kind of had a chance to, when COVID hit, we moved to our lake place in northern Minnesota. We were there for a number of months, and it was amazing because we could still run our business. So many businesses were just stuck, couldn't do anything, and our business has grown over the last significantly over the last 4, 5, 6 months because people are looking for this. And we did it from the lake, and we spent the summer, tubing with the kids and playing some golf and doing things like that. And I would highly encourage everybody to take this time to just take a step back and reassess where you are in life and where you'd like to go in life. And if you're on that path, don't just take whatever is put on your plate. Just see if this might be the right time for you to decide which one put on your plate. And I'm telling you that's the first step, Kristen, I think, to making a significant change in life. And significant changes in life don't have to be massive changes from the beginning. They don't have to be like, I'm sending my boss a letter of resignation tonight. And that's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying, hey, here's the direction we'd really like our family to move. What does it take to get there? And what kind of things, do I need to create to allow that to happen? And then if you have an idea of where it is you want to go, then talk to the person who put you on this, get the details about what we do, see if it fits in your psyche and if you connect with who we are and what we do, and then follow the plan, because that's 1, 2, 3 ABC. It's simple. And it's not always easy, but it's very simple in what we do. So that would be my thought, is to take some action, both personally and yet professionally moving forward. That'd be my suggestion to everybody tonight.
I think that's fantastic advice and right on the button, because really it does come down to making a decision, whether it's making a decision to actually take a look and be open, and then from there decide, is it for you or isn't? And either way is the right choice.
Agreed.
So there we have it. All right. So let me jump these slides back up and we'll finish it off. Thank you again, Shawn. And we so
Thank you,
appreciate this.
Kristen.
And it's been an
Absolutely. Awesome.
absolute blast chatting with you. All right. So if you're curious about what it takes to get started, or what it takes to explore this or experience some of the benefits of becoming an online entrepreneur, I'd like to invite you to take a free tour. It's a risk-free tour of our business center where you can start exploring the opportunity to get ahead with an online business, and you can run it from your laptop and smartphone. So in the tour, you'll discover the market that is experiencing phenomenal growth worldwide, the high quality consumable products that our customers buy from us online. Yes, there's no delivering. How you can create sales without having to focus on being the salesperson. And the 60-year-old supplier that we've partnered with, and the business model, our competitive advantage or secret sauce, and the fabulous benefits like expense paid travel, car bonuses, the income, flexibility, security, so much more. How you can do it in your spare time, and also how to start on a budget. So thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you being here. So I do encourage you, if you're curious about this opportunity, please reach out to the person who invited you and ask them to take a tour. There's no risk, and it gives you an idea and a sneak peek into what we do, and then you can decide from there. So thank you all so much for joining. Again, Shawn, thank you, and we'll see you all next time.
Thanks, Kristen. Bye, everyone.